Hey, what's happening, guys? What is going on? You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Today is Monday, January 16th, 2023, and we're going to be doing another rundown of the news. We got a bunch of business stories to share with you guys. We're going to be talking about the economy, going to be talking about store closures going on across the country. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Crypto is surging on the 7-day chart. Bitcoin up 22%, Solana up a whopping 73%. We're going to be talking about the state of consumers, how hard Americans have it right now. We're going to talk about a number of large store chains closing across the country: Target, Walgreens, Macy, Starbucks, about a dozen of them all in all. And even beyond those, we got T-Mobile closing stores and laying off people, Joann Fabrics closing stores and laying off people. There's massive riots going on over in France over inflation and the cost of living. Media is not covering that. And the New York City Mayor Eric Adams recently visited the border and said there is no room for migrants in New York City. The city of immigrants has no room for immigrants, and he says Joe Biden and the White House need to do their job and secure the border. And this is a guy who previously was touting sanctuary cities. A lot of stuff to talk about in today's video, so without further ado, let's jump on into it. Before we get started, shout out to today's sponsor, QuickFixSynthetic.com. Check out the link in the description box below. QuickFix Synthetic sells devices, tools, products to help you pass drug tests. Their flagship product, or most famous product, is their QuickFix 6.3 synthetic urine kit. It comes with a 2-ounce bottle of synthetic urine, a heating pad, a temperature strip, and other accessories to help you pass your urine test. They offer fast shipping and have a 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. So check out the description in the check out the link in the description box below. Also, before we get into today's video, I've been giving you guys some show recommendations, some YouTube recommendations, some documentary recommendations lately. I got 2 for you guys today. I saw a new movie came on Netflix. It's not a new movie, but it's new to Netflix. The movie No Escape with Owen Wilson. I think Pierce Brosnan is also in it. No Escape. Owen Wilson works for a water company. He winds up moving his family over to, I want to say it's like Cambodia or Thailand. Big riots and conflicts start happening, and everybody's trying to kill all the Americans, and he has to get his family out of the country. Really exciting movie. Will have you on the edge of your seat the entire thing, so check that out. Netflix, No Escape. And I also have a YouTube channel recommendation for you guys as well. The name of this YouTube channel is Lord Miles. It's a travel YouTube channel, but taking travel to the extreme. He goes to some crazy places. One of the videos I watched of his the other day, he was over in Afghanistan and went shooting with the Taliban. He's got another great, pretty much all his videos were very entertaining. I binged on his channel the other day. There was one where he was illegally crossing borders over in Europe. Recently, he was on the U.S.-Mexican border, kind of showing what's going on there. The guy is more of a journalist than any of the actual journalists out there. And it's kind of crazy that a lot of these extreme travel channels have like millions and millions of views. This guy's only got about 50,000 subscribers, which kind of surprised me. But the most entertaining video, he was in Afghanistan when the U.S. fell and the Taliban took over. He wound up going shooting out in the desert with the Taliban. And it was really entertaining because the guy had no trigger discipline, and he kept sweeping the barrel of his gun past the Taliban. They gave him an AK to shoot. He shoots the AK, and then he just kind of starts like giggling and smiling, and he's looking back at the Taliban. But as he turns back to look at them to, this is so much fun, I'm shooting in this gun, like he's sweeping the barrel of his AK past them. And I'm sure you guys have seen videos of the Taliban. They don't necessarily practice gun safety, right? They're shooting in the air. They're bad trigger discipline, but he was even freaking out the Taliban. I'll link to his channel down below. It was pretty entertaining. Check it out. But without further ado, let's get into the story. So obviously stock markets closed on the weekends, but on Friday, markets pretty much closed sideways. S&P 500, Dow, NASDAQ, Russell 3000, some markets closed up 0.5%, some closed down 0.5%. Not a whole lot of movement there, but crypto is surging. On the 7-day chart, and I was looking at these numbers yesterday, so things may have changed here Monday morning. But on the 7-day chart, Bitcoin up 22% to 20,775. Ethereum up 21% to over $1,500. BNB up 14% to almost $300. Solana really skyrocketed. Solana up 73% on the 7-day chart to $23. Polkadot up 27%. AVAX up 40%. If you guys know the reason why, let me know. I haven't really been following crypto or crypto news as closely as I did in the past. But as far as I can tell, there's really no reason for this. The only thing that we can really look to is last week we heard that CPI numbers were down, and maybe the crypto market looks favorably upon that, right? Subway, the Subway sandwich shop, the largest restaurant chain in the world, and that always kind of surprises me. I think it surprises most people. I think most people expect like McDonald's to be the largest restaurant chain. Subway actually has the most locations, although they have been struggling in the past couple years. Subway, the largest restaurant chain, is exploring a $10 billion sale. Subway has 21,147 U.S. stores and over 37,000 stores globally. Their revenues jumped 13% in 2022, although more recently they have been closing some stores down. Not really sure who could potentially be a buyer of Subway, but they are exploring a sale. And I think I saw another article the other day that the grandkids of the guy who started Subway are some of the richest people in the country, if not the world. This is more of kind of a leading indicator, anecdotal kind of story. Are any of you guys into collecting sports cards? Do any of you guys buy cards off sports card breaks? Breaks are basically where you buy a spot in a lottery. Somebody, the breaker, buys like a box of cards. This is kind of done because cards are so expensive nowadays. Most people can't buy a complete set or a complete case. So they'll bid on a team, or they'll bid on a player, or cards ending in a certain number. The person who does these breaks will be on YouTube or Breakers TV or a similar site. They open the box, and any cards that come out with the team that you bought a spot into the break for, you wind up getting those cards. Anyhow, point of the story, I know a couple guys who used to do card breaks. I don't really talk to any of these guys anymore, but I just happened to try to look them up the other day. And I think there's 3 or 4 guys I knew who used to do card breaks who are no longer doing them. Obviously, from 2020 to 2022, the price of everything skyrocketed. The price of NFTs skyrocketed, stocks, real estate, used cars. I mean, everything shot up in price, not only because of supply chain things, but also people couldn't travel. There was no social life. There was no nightlife. So people took on different hobbies, whether that's collecting sports cards, collecting plants, collecting rare plants. And I think now that the world has opened back up, maybe people have kind of abandoned some of these hobbies. Also, with inflation eating away at people's pocketbooks, do people really have money to be spending on sports cards every week? So if you guys are in the sports card space, let me know if the bubble has popped. I have seen some articles about the bubble popping back in June, back in November. But I noticed a couple guys I used to know who did this are no longer around. So let me know if you guys are noticing the same thing. The markets, the Fed, the talking heads on television, they all tell us that the U.S. economy is resilient and the consumer is strong. But let's look at some of these stats. So a third of American workers make less than $15 per hour. 6 in 10 Americans don't have $500 in savings. The average median income was $37,500, but the average car payment is over $700. Rents on average are between $2,200 and $2,500. In order to be in the 1%, you have to make over $250,000 a year, but in order to be in the top half of earners, you only have to make $29,000 a year. 44% of people earn less than $30,000 per year. And since 2020, 6 in 10 of Americans have either withdrawn or borrowed money from their retirement accounts, so their IRAs, their 401ks, etc. We've talked about how much the price of eggs is up. I forget which state this was, but I saw something. I don't know if it was on Reddit or Twitter or something the other day. But in a couple of states, the cost of eggs is actually more than an hour of minimum wage. It's actually more than their minimum wage. So granted, right now almost nobody's making minimum wage. The low wage jobs are in such demand of workers. Obviously, most jobs that typically would pay minimum wage are probably now paying 2 to 3 times what minimum wage is. But nonetheless, minimum wage is $7.25. I think in whatever city or state this was, a carton of eggs or a dozen eggs would cost you $7.30. So the cost of a carton of eggs has surpassed minimum wage in one of these states. I saw an article the other day. I forget where this one came from, but the title of the article was "Say Goodbye to These 12 Stores." Target closing 130 stores. Walgreens closing 200 stores. Macy's closing 125 stores. Starbucks closing 400 stores. Bed Bath & Beyond closing 43 stores. Victoria's Secret closing 50 stores. American Eagle, I actually used to work at American Eagle as a teenager. American Eagle closing 250 stores. Kohl's closing 27 stores. GameStop closing 200 stores. Walmart closing 154 stores. Bed Bath & Beyond closing 50 stores. And JCPenney closing 90 stores. Now, those were the 12 stores they said say goodbye to in this article, but I saw a couple more store closures in the news, in the media. It doesn't stop there. T-Mobile recently laid off 600 territory leaders and sales managers, and they say that the physical shopping world has changed. So I'm guessing that they're going to close down a lot of their corporate stores, and they're going to look for more retailers who will sell T-Mobile phones. They're probably also going to take more of their business online. This one also surprised me. Joann Fabrics is closing stores. That's kind of surprising because Joann Fabrics seems to have a really loyal bunch of crafters as their customers. But again, I think the end of the Mexican beer cough, a lot of people are maybe spending less time on crafts and doing things outside of the home. And also inflation, right? Like if you're having a hard time putting food on the table, you're probably not going to be buying yarn to knit with. UBS says that store closures will be led by department stores and will accelerate in 2023. Now, here's the problem about store closures, right? It's not just, a Hobby Lobby closed, a Bed Bath & Beyond closed. Yeah, it's affecting the workers. It's affecting the truck drivers who deliver there. But a lot of times these stores are the draw in the strip mall they're in the shopping center they're in the mall they're in. If Joann Fabrics or Hobby Lobby or some of the other stores, American Eagle, if some of these stores drew people in, when people are shopping at these stores, maybe they grab a coffee at the Starbucks nearby or the coffee shop nearby. Maybe they grab lunch. Maybe they pop in at another store in the area. As these stores shut down, there's less traffic to these retail centers. The cities have less tax revenue. Everything is interconnected, and these things cause more problems. Let's see. Salesforce CEO recently commented on his layoffs. He's actually also calling everybody back into the office. He said, as our revenue accelerated through the pandemic, we hired too many people leading into this economic downturn we're now facing, and I take responsibility for that. And that seems to be a trend that we've seen with Amazon and a lot of other companies. A lot of companies thought the 2020 to 2022 Mexican beer cough boom would never end. They overbuilt, they overhired, they overordered inventory, and now they're paying for it. Meta and Microsoft are vacating their offices in Seattle and Bellevue, Washington. Seattle's total office vacancy is at 25%. Even existing offices that are open and do have people working have less than 50% occupancy, and less than 40% of workers and activity has returned to Seattle. I was in Seattle last summer, and you can definitely tell there's not the hustle and bustle of a city where people actually work. There's currently massive riots going on in France over inflation and the cost of living, but you won't hear anything about that. I mean, there's literally, the streets are packed shoulder to shoulder. It's kind of like back when they were protesting mandates of something between 2020 and 2022. It's that crazy, but again, you didn't hear about that from the U.S. media either. JP Morgan Chase says a moderate recession is guaranteed in 2023, right? It's interesting how, no, we're not going to have inflation. Yeah, we are, but it's transitory. Okay, it's sticky. Okay, it really sucks. It's hurting us. No, we're not going to have a recession. Okay, we might have a light recession. It's going to be a soft landing. I'm just counting down the days until they admit that we are in a severe recession or even a depression. Real estate, this is kind of more anecdotal. I'm seeing more posts in Reddit's personal finance and other, real estate related, personal finance related subreddits of people who bought homes in 2022 and are now concerned that they're seeing their neighbors sell their homes for $15,000 less, 15% less, 20% less, 25% less than they've bought their home in the past year, and they're worried they're never going to be able to get out from under this home should they need to move or should they want to move down the road. I think I maybe touched on this story at the beginning here, but New York's Mayor Eric Adams recently visited the border along Texas and Mexico. He said there's no room for migrants in New York City. New York City is historically and traditionally the city of immigrants. But Eric Adams said there is no room for migrants in New York City. He said Joe Biden and the White House need to do their job and secure the border. This is a guy who previously touted sanctuary cities. We should let everybody in. It's easy to be generous when you're being generous with other people's money. It's easy to welcome everybody into the U.S. when your city, your state is not the one having to deal with it. It's the border states. Once it becomes your problem, it's interesting to see how quickly your attitudes change. What do you guys think about this? So I saw an article about this the other day. The companies that you buy from, whether it's dish detergent or sparkling water or shoes or socks or clothing or whatever else, do you want the companies that you purchase products from to take stands on political issues and be very vocal with their political stances and where they stand on societal issues? Or do you just want them to shut their mouth, make a good product, and sell it to you at a reasonable price? Saw an article that actually looked at what do Americans actually think about this. So according to a recent Bentley University and Gallup poll survey, 52% of adults disapprove of public posturing, while 48% support it. I can almost guarantee you that 100% of that 48% of people who support companies being vocal with their politics only support it if their politics are in line with what the company is touting. Among people 18 to 29, 59% of people approve. This is a kind of trend we've been seeing in marketing for a number of years. Younger people, they want to know who the CEO of a company is. They want to know what the values of a company is. Now, I think this is typically disingenuous. Companies are going to take whatever side is popular or whatever side is advantageous for them to take. When a company like Raytheon, who bombs women and children, who sells arms, who sucks money away from the American taxpayer, when a company like Raytheon during Pride Month changes their logo to a rainbow flag, is that because they care about gay people, or are they trying to boost their ESG score? Are they doing something that's going to make them seem woke and popular? And what's really ironic is these companies who want to take stances, you'll see almost every company during Pride Month, they'll change their logo to a rainbow flag, but in countries in the Middle East, they'll change their logo black. So, one of the things about taking a stance on an issue is taking a stance regardless of whether it's popular or not, and doing the right thing regardless of whether people are going to disagree with you or not. So it's always kind of interesting how in the U.S. they change it to a rainbow flag, but they're not brave enough to change it to a rainbow flag in countries who may not like that. Let's see. There were some other stats here. Political divide. So 75% of Democrats want companies to share their beliefs and be vocal about their stances on societal issues. Only 18% of Republicans do. And the group that most supported political posturing of companies was surprisingly Asians. 74% of Asians support political posturing of the companies that they buy from. BlackRock, a company which basically owns the world, recently reported an 18% decline in fourth quarter profits, and BlackRock has announced they're slashing 2.5% of their headcount, which accounts for about 500 jobs. They're also undergoing $91 million in restructuring changes, and an internal memo shows BlackRock's Larry Fink says this market is unlike anything we've seen in decades. Americans are not only taking on more credit card debt than ever, they're struggling to pay it back. 46% of Americans are carrying a credit card balance month to month, and a lot of these people aren't aware of just how expensive this is. Just to give you guys some context or an example, if you had $5,000 in credit card debt that you don't pay off for 5 years, that $5,000 in credit card debt becomes $12,441. Despite people relying on credit cards because they're tapped out and have no cash, credit card originations or new credit cards issued is expected to be 7.6% lower in 2023 compared to 2022. I think credit card companies and banks are realizing that people may not be able to pay back these loans, and they don't want to give out as many of them. For a while, a lot of people have been following Nancy Pelosi's trades. She's, ever since she became Speaker of the House or whatever she is, her the amount of wealth she had went from like a couple $1 million to like a couple $100 million. Obviously, politicians are taking advantage of their positions to enrich themselves. And I think everybody realizes that Nancy Pelosi has done a lot of insider trading. Although Nancy Pelosi did recently take a number of relatively large losses. When you look at her entire net worth, it's nothing. But still large losses nonetheless. Nancy Pelosi in 2022 lost $854,000 on PayPal stock. Took a loss on a trade, lost $733,000 on Salesforce, $511,000 on Tesla, $235,000 on Roblox, $129,000 on Netflix, $114,000 on Disney, $11,000 on Alliance, and she also sold $2.6 million in Google's parent Alphabet stock, though it isn't clear if that was sold at a loss or a gain. Does this mean that Nancy Pelosi has a bad outlook or a bad prediction for what markets are going to do in 2023? Or was this just end-of-the-year tax loss harvesting? I think it was more tax loss harvesting, as most of the sales took place around like the 15th or 16th of December. I thought this one was kind of interesting. I'm not sure if it's going on this week or if it was just on the 9th, but Davos, that big global meeting in Switzerland where all the global elites, the WEF, a lot of CEOs, a lot of corporations all get together to discuss societal issues and how they're going to fix the world. Rumor has it that they were looking for pilots who haven't had a certain thing done to them between 2020 and 2022. It's kind of weird that this group of people who just 8 months ago, just a year ago, were some of the most dangerous people on the planet, now the elites flying to Davos want to make sure their pilots are these people. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And in the last article of the day, I thought this one was kind of interesting. Vinyl records are making a comeback. Record sales have grown for the 17th consecutive year, 48 times bigger than back in 2006, and vinyl records account for 43% of all album sales. This is likely because nobody's buying tapes or CDs anymore. Obviously, people do buy records because either they think it sounds better or just the nostalgia of it. But I thought this was interesting. Over 50% of people buying vinyl records don't actually own a record player, so I'm guessing they're buying them for the collectible value. Anyhow, guys, that is today's story. Today, again, is Monday, January 16th, 2023. Check out the show and YouTube recommendations I had for you guys. Netflix, No Escape. YouTube, check out Lord Miles. If I remember, I'll try to link to him down below. And be sure to visit our sponsor, QuickFixSynthetic.com. Link in the description box below. If you need mouthwash to pass a drug test, a swab test, you need shampoo to pass a hair follicle test, or synthetic urine to pass a pee test, they got you covered. That's everything, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. Would love to hear your thoughts, comments, and opinions, so drop a comment down below. And as always, guys, I'm out. I'll catch you in the next video. Later.